Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to talk about the anti-bot strategies and the new rank mode that are being proposed in pre-proposal mode here. So you guys have seen it probably. After Sound covered it, I saw it through him, and then I saw one of my commenters ask me for my opinion. So I'm going to speak to this, but I first want to read some of the comments from the blog post that outlines the pre-proposal and just give my feedback. This is clearly this is surprisingly actually a contentious issue. So let's go look at the post, and I will share where my views lie on this one. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Mickey G, who has always been a salty one for me. He drops the comments that provoke conversation. So you know what? Thank you, Mickey. Even though often you are just grinding, you just try you kind of poking the bear sometimes with me, but today he goes, let's talk about whether you're for or against a new bot proposal. And I go, against it. Just kidding. Because I just want to give you a spicy response for once, because he's always on me about something. And I go, I'm for it. However, I don't believe it will work. And so that's, in a nutshell, where my head is at on this one. But let's go look at the blog post. I'm not going to read it because I think you guys already, if you heard about the pre-proposal, you know. But I want to read some of the comments. In short, the idea is that there would be a new ranked mode that will have anti-bot measures, and it's not clear at all what those anti-bot measures really would be. There's some hint at, maybe we could track which accounts have XBot tokens or whatever else, whatever other tokens. What's the Archmage tokens? And on the surface, it sounds so logical, but it's so simple to think new solutions that would obfuscate the holding of those tokens and yet allow bot management, allow an account to have it. My point, in short, and what I'm saying to my commenter there, to Mickey, is that I just don't believe that humans can create anti-bot measures that are going to be substantive and long-lasting. I think that the people who are, whether you want to call them like nefarious or whether you want to call them ingenious, I think the vision of people to find value and extract value is literally a free market pressure. Like you're talking about subduing with man-made observations and man-made planning the desire of the free market, which is to extract value, to identify value and to seek it, and to maximize your own profits with your own ingenious. And bots are one example of what people do in an economy like Splinterlands. But there's bots that play the games, there's bots that play the market, there's even humans are doing this, right? Whether you play your account individually, you're still doing in much the same way, but on a smaller scale, the idea of trying to extract maximum value for minimum output. This is literally the beauty of Splinterlands, that it is in and of itself a free market. It is in and of itself a marketplace, an economy. And within an economy, there's ways to extract value for your time and attention. That's actually the secret sauce to why this game's awesome. And then there are people that recognize that and find exploits. And I want to use that word in quotes almost, because is it an exploit? I mean, it's literally not denied, not expelled by the team. And so I'm not supporting bots with my words. I'm being realistic about the fact that they are here and that this isn't a free market economy. And what I'm trying to do is speak to why I don't believe individuals can plan their way out of this. I think this is like really a tale as old as time when we talk about economies, when we look at what centralized governance has always tried to do. It's always tried to centralize power and authority and money into the fewest number of hands. That's literally what people have always tried to do. Is wherever there was money, wherever there was power, wherever there was authority to be had, they've strived to centralize it. Either people who don't trust themselves or don't believe in their own ability will abdicate authority to others, because hey, you'll be a better leader than me, so please, Captain Aggie, run this and kick out the bad people, make me safe. Or whether it's us feeling we can run something best and we want to be president or prime minister of our country. In a famous quote, I forget who said this, but it's like, the guy you shouldn't want to lead your country, to be your leader, is the guy who's crazy enough and egotistical enough to say, hey, put their hand up and say, hey, I'd be a great leader of a country. And I think that line of thinking applies to someone who thinks that they could put their hand up and say, I can control this economy. This is an economy. It's a free market. And there's so much room. There's literally hundreds of thousands of voices and people looking at this economy and seeing how they can extract value for time and attention. And then there's going to be 10, maybe there's going to be 20 people that are going to be focused and fixated on trying to create countermeasures for the, let's say, exploits that those hundreds of thousands or at least tens of thousands of people are going to be unpacking or applying. This doesn't work. It never works. And look, Splinterlands is one example of, and we can and we will talk more. I want to spend 5-10 minutes just talking why I don't think it's going to work in Splinterlands. But first, on the broader vision, this is like if you look at centralized governance, you look at, I live in Canada. We have a public healthcare system. That public healthcare system provides and affords care for Canadian citizens who need medical health, whether emergency or ongoing. And most people in the world talk about it like it's this utopian opportunity, and it's absolutely necessary. And all good countries, anyone who values humanity would offer this to their citizens. There is a real utopian view about it. But here's the thing, the real when you investigate what it is and how it operates, you have to recognize that it is full of inefficiencies that come out of the fact that there is no driver, there's no free market driver for the healthcare provider to innovate and offer greater services or better service or better customer service for the customer, because the customer isn't the patient. The patient is the essentially the task. It's the patient is the to-do list, but the customer is the government who pays the bill. And so what that does in a free market is it disincentivizes quality, and it disincentivizes the highest level of care providers from being within the system. They choose to go elsewhere to other countries. Doctors can be paid more in America, for instance, than they can working in Canada. And those that stay in Canada have to do all kinds of crazy things, like they book 5 appointments in a single hour. You're in, you're out, because they cannot spend time with you, because they get I don't know how many dollars, but they get a blanket number of dollars per visit, and they need to just move along. It's like a Tim Hortons drive-through line, like go 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 go, and this is what happens. That's one example, but I could talk to you about how it's bankrupting our country. I could talk to you about how the people who have money and could afford better care can't get it and have to go to other countries. And that's crazy. If they have, if they want optional or if they want surgeries that might help, they can't necessarily get them, or they have to wait on long wait lists because there's no privatized element except for in certain elements of Canada. But I'm trying to keep this a shorter conversation. And so the point is that it isn't a help that 5 or 10 or, a minority of people, which is in my example's case, the governing party of Canada, it's that they think they can oversee nearly 40 million people. And they think they can govern, let's say, I don't know, maybe it's 100,000 doctors. I have no idea how many doctors are in Canada, but they just cannot. And the problem isn't that, centralized governance. The problem isn't that public healthcare is necessarily broken. that's almost a conversation for another day. But the problem really is we have few people prescribing how the masses can operate, how a marketplace can operate. That centralized voice can never anticipate all of the exploits and angles that the masses will see. So you can have a person who goes to the doctor every day, hypochondriac, and they're just like, oh, I'm still sick, and they're bogging down the system and essentially extracting value from the government, which is us. We are the government. We pay taxes into it, etc. If we lose money through inflation, we are the government, and we are losing when that is happening. But there's no friction for that individual. There's no limiter to that individual because there's no cost to that individual. And this is a problem that happens when centralized authorities try to govern massive populations. And here's my point. We're trying to do that with something like this. We're trying to say to aggro and maybe let's say the 50 team members that might potentially have some hands on some anti-bot measures. We're trying to tell them, think of every possible angle and opportunity and exploit and create a countermeasure for it. And we don't even have clear ideas of what that would be in here. And the couple clear ideas that are mentioned, like the tracking where the bot tokens, which accounts have bot tokens, or tracking, doing a CAPTCHA every now and then, these will not work. Observably now, like we can predict that these solutions could be overcome even today, let alone the angles and approaches and the exploits that might be envisioned after we instigate some degree of defense. So you might say, well, first of all, what I'm saying is, I don't think that a central authority at Splinterlands or of a country can oversee a broad population and prevent a free market attempt. This is bots are a free market attempt. I don't love them, but they're literally a solution created by people with the capacity to thoughtfully program and in an attempt to exploit value from the system. And like them or hate them, the answer isn't going to be, let's get 5 or 10 people that are going to sheriff, that are going to police this. They can't, they will fail. And there's too many angles of attack. There's too many individuals, and there's too much creative power on the one side that wants to extract value. That's the problem here. We will never be able to outthink the masses on this. And so you might say, Dwayne, you're being cynical. You're essentially saying we just need to give up. We need to accept bots. Here's the thing. I am for this proposal. I just don't think it's going to work. I would prefer if my game, Splinterlands, was entirely human played. That would be lovely. I just don't imagine that we as individuals, even us as if we literally were all rowing in the same direction on this. I mean, 200,000 daily active accounts, if there were 200,000 humans, and there are not, but if we were all in agreement that this was possible, and that's what it would take. You'd need to have this group of people saying, no, okay, despite how easy it is for me to think through a new angle of attack, to introduce my bots or to automate some elements of this, I'm gonna respect the team and the game's decision to say no, and then and only then would we see kind of an abandonment of that tech. But that's never going to happen, because again, there's value to be had. And so I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm for attempting to think through and deter, and even to create conversation around this issue. But I can't realistically imagine how this will work. Let's read a couple comments. Some people are, I think, equally skeptical. Geotrix, in full support of this. As a bot user myself, I think there's something special about having the options to play actual people organically. Lately, I've been challenging friends like crazy, and there's a part of me that wants to see this succeed. Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to see this succeed too. I don't imagine that it will. And then I even like what he said about like he's challenging people because he wants to have that player to player battle. Same, man. That is a longing of mine. And one angle I'm thinking about is like, what if we could do more and more tournaments that are, you know, that are either live and in person and you're literally sitting in a booth and you're playing in front of your opponent, and that's maybe a Splinterfest only type of event, but man, I look forward to that again when we do that again. Or maybe it's, I don't know, there's other levels of security that are onerous and cannot be maintained at for every tournament or every battle, but could be for, you know, 15 battles when you do a tournament. I don't know. I would love to see more human to human battle. Let's carry on. KS Commander, voting no. There's no way to reliably and accurately check for bots. Any measures taken can be quickly and easily avoided. For example, checking for tokens would be bypassed by having users pay for a monthly fee to send a message encrypted so that only the bot service can read it. And so and CAPTCHA will not stop bots in any meaningful way. In short, there's nothing that can be done to prevent bots without fundamentally changing how the game operates. The focus should be on how to make sure that no account can drain significantly more than they spend. This is a focus that I'm in agreement with Commander Chaos, except I will vote yes. Here's the thing. I am not willing to say no to the community who wants to try. Do you see my distinction? I don't think it's going to work. I'm going to be actively outspoken about that because I want to be truthful and critical where I think criticism is just, but I also am going to vote yes because I actually want people who have a desire to seek change and possibly to fight this battle. I want to encourage them. I want them to try. I'm hopeful that they'll succeed and prove me wrong. I just don't see how. Because again, those free market pressures we talked about mean that all of the incentives are within the masses, and the select few that are going to be chosen to fight this battle are not going to have the brain power, the bandwidth, or even the incentive to fight this and win this. But I'm going to say yes. So I don't really know why Commander Chaos would say no. I don't know. Maybe you could get into a conversation about separating the because part of the proposal is to separate the reward pool, and maybe that could be a criticism that you might be like, well, what are we doing here? If you want human to human battle, you could create a second league with no rewards, but that's not what people want. People want human to human rewards or human to human battle with rewards, and then they want a way to ensure that bots can't beat them unfairly. I don't know if that's realistic. Let's read a couple more comments. Let's see if this is pushback. Nope. OA guy says, I agree with the weaknesses you've noted. If a bot service is determined to bypass the rules, some will find ways as long as the economy creates incentive. But I think that if there's a line in the sand, some bot users will respect it. That's a cool note. Yeah. I think that passes the smell test. I think some will. I don't think most will. However, I do want to challenge you on your closing concept here. The focus should be on how to make sure that no account can drain significantly more than they spend. This was a point I agreed with, so let's see what this guy has to say. First of all, this is not how economies work anywhere. Focus on how no account can drain significantly more than they spend. That's a fair point. This is an example of me like having an opinion, and then sometimes in the comments I see you guys think like I never change my mind, or I'm always just pro everything that comes near Splinterlands. I think I might be changing my mind here. Let's go. Splinterlands has a fairly complex economy, and there are many different ways to participate. In real economies, people tend to specialize in offering services in some area and consuming in other areas. Then supply and demand should help balance out the supply of various inputs, labor, time, skills, capital, etc. All of these have some value in the economy, allowing people to participate in ways that, yeah, he's right. He's 100% right. But if we create a scenario that no one is able to get more than the output, yeah, he's right. That's not cool. Then the entire project literally becomes a money pit. Not an economy. He's right. He's right. If this was taken to its nth degree, if this idea of, no one should be able to make drain significantly more than they spend, it means you're describing a game or an economy that that doesn't have outsized gaining opportunities, doesn't have outsized return possibility. And one of the beauties about Splinterlands is that, at least in theory, and in my opinion, it is true, but I'm going to say in theory, the cards have an opportunity to go from, for instance, 1 penny to $100 or 1 penny to, way more. Anyways, and we're talking hundreds of, maybe hundred or hundreds of times, more price appreciation. And if this sentence actually truly had an outworking, it became applied, you're talking about creating, you put in $10 and you have to keep investing more. I don't know. There would be limits in a sense. You can't get outsized returns. You can just get returns. But at the same time, I do think there's some value to understanding that, the game requires more investment to continue extracting value. It's not a one-time purchase, $1,000 worth of cards and you'll forever be able to extract at a high level. There's almost a diminishing return in some sense because there's new cards, new releases, new expansions that will broaden the gaming experience. And if you don't have any of those, you will have, a reducing profit from the game. I see a tension between these 2 points. I see the truth of both of them. Interesting. Let's read one more. Ooh, seven vote. That's not good. Temporary ranked mode with no concrete suggestions is an instant no for me. Stop being lazy and forcing the team to invent anti-bot measures and come up with them for yourself. This is a huge waste of resources right now. I'm more than happy to support such a thing with a well thought out solution. Well, I do agree that this idea of, there's a famous quote. It's like there's nothing so permanent as a temporary tax. It's a famous quote about governance. And in Canada, during, I think it was World War II, we created this temporary tax to support the war effort. It's called GST, and it's still around to this day, 70 years later. And this idea that we would introduce a temporary solution, it's probably true that it's, we should do things right, not rapidly and frantically to try and. So I get his point there. This is a bit harsh. I think the writer is this post in my mind is creating a conversation, and I hope this video is extending that conversation. So I wouldn't say that the person had to bring all of the answers to bear. Plus, the individual spent their 100,000 of their own DEC to do this, right? So, there's that. I hear this though. I'm happy to support such a thing when it's well thought out. I don't truly believe that's possible. I'm skeptical about this, guys. I'm truly skeptical that we can resolve the bot problem with anything but a total change of how Splinterlands works. And I mean 100% KYC is one of the elements that would be necessary. And I hate that idea when it comes to blockchain. And I mean 100% authority over the development team, and they're having the ban hammer like some other games have utilized when they find you using, hacks of some nature. And those games often kick people who are innocent too, by the way. And it's so antithetical. Those sorts of changes that I just proposed are so antithetical to what Splinterlands is aiming to be and what this game is intending to offer, which is decentralized opportunity for time and attention, an opportunity to extract value by investing time and attention. And it's a beautiful and powerful and revolutionary tool. And I agree that bots are a strong concern. They have to be a strong concern. But you guys, so many of you guys who have berated this channel over the years now, talking about how we need to resolve the bots, you never give any solutions that are gonna stick. And this doesn't give solutions that are gonna stick. But I would vote yes on this. because I actually want to encourage the people who are attempting to be proactive with their own money, with their own time, with their own, you know what I mean? I want to support them in that. I don't really believe that that's going to bear fruit, but again, it would be lovely if it did. It would be amazing if Splinterlands could be what it is, revolutionary opportunity, you know, an opportunity to extract value for time and attention, but simultaneously pushing away, excluding, you know, blocking automation and bots. I can't imagine how. I'm sure some of you are going to be upset with me about this because I'm not anti-bot enough. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see it. Guys, have an amazing day. God bless.